Hey there folks, welcome back to the worst channel for Warmachine on the internet. I'm Malorian and it's time for another Warmachine battle report. Now this one that we're going to be covering today is going to be a little bit interesting for two reasons. One, it's going to be a war table battle report. So I keep on talking about how we should be embracing playing on the internet and stuff like that, and yet none of my battle reports are on that. So I thought I might as well start doing some on it so I can show you what it looks like in real life type thing. And secondly, this is actually going to be a game against one of my long-term subscribers, James. Basically, James has been following me and commenting on my battle reports for years, and you know, we chat about lists now and then, and he just kind of said like, hey, do you think we could be playing a war table game sometime? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Alright, so looking at my side and what I'm going to be running, I actually had hoped that I could be playing Magnus2 in the list that I had with that, but unfortunately the scenario is too dead, so I'm going to be running my Magnus2 list. This is my favorite one right now for competitive play. It is Magnus2 in irregulars, Blockader, triple Toro, Anastasia, Tinker, Lanyssa, Orin, Widget, and then Gaspy with a Nomad. Just a very far-reaching, like that Blockader can hit you out from 18 inches away if all the stars align, and just, you know, control, power, really nasty stuff if I can lock you down. Now, James, on the other side here, he had a completely different type of list and something I don't normally see. Now, double Judicator, sure, I can see that from Menoth now and then, but I just pretty much never see Malekus. Like, I'm sure at some point I've played against Malekus, but it is super rare, right? Normally, when you're playing against Menoth, it's Serenia or Harby or something like that. And so I had to kind of look up Malekus, like, what's his feat again? What does this guy do? But yeah, he's going to be running double Judicator, also got Gade, a couple of Archons, and of course that's what kind of really builds into the fire theme of this list, where the feat is making it so that the fire damage gets an additional dice of damage. The Menite Archons make fire damage +2 around them, so lots of burny, flamey stuff. There's also going to be Sevi there with Blessing of Vengeance, couple of mechanics, couple of vassals, and then the choir for some very hard-hitting bang-bang. Alright, we're going to be playing on Invasion, and this is a scenario, like I said, not really live, so I'm not really expecting this to become a scenario type thing. Now, I won the ability to have the whole initiative roll thing because I am in irregular, so I get re-roll, and I have Anastasia, so I get +1. Now, I definitely want to go first, and my opponent picked the bottom, and I think that was probably the wrong choice. The reason is looking at this, you know, that building can be a huge pain to huge bases. I have my Blockader, but he has 2 Judicators, so between that building and the objective, I think that's going to be causing him a lot of issues there for where he's going to be deploying and moving. But hey, I'll take it. You know, this actually maybe opens up scenario as a pressure, because now I was able to use my Gaspy on the left side, where odds are the Judicator's not going that way into that zone. So if my Gaspy can beat out that Menite Archon that's over there, I can start scoring that zone and really putting on a lot of pressure. So, otherwise, what I'm just looking to do is really putting my Blockader through those woods, getting crashed through there. By the way, I think maybe I messed up my deployment too, where maybe I wanted to put my Blockader on the other side of the wall because I can charge through it, whereas my Nomads can't. But at the same time, you know, my Blockader is really the star of my list, and I just didn't want to have any situation where that wall gets in my way. So here's deployment, and like I said, my goal of this is just going to be run up, lock him down with the feet, and smash him with my jacks. So first turn, that's what I'm doing. I do my usual start of escort up on Magnus so that everything's faster in my battle group, and then bullet dodger over on Gaspy, and then past that he charges up. Everybody else runs up. Clearly, you know, like I said, with things looking kind of dead on the right side, I'm really only having one Nomad going that way. And there is also the chance, keep in mind, that he uses his shooting to shoot down the Toro, rather, on the far right, and then starting to control that zone. But he also doesn't have a lot of units, right? His only unit is the choir. So his risk to me of having to starting to score these things would probably be more so late game, or maybe Malekus runs over there. So even if he does you know, kind of target and take out that Toro on the far right, I'm not really overly worried. On his turn then, he really has to run up to get in position. You know, it is possible that he could try walking up with these Judicators and trying to take some long shots, but it just really isn't worth it. Then I'd probably be locking him out of the zones, and then scenario would be mine. Now, he still does get shots. You know, these things all run up here, and then because basically he has the spell on Malekus where he gets to shoot with his jacks, he does get some shots in there, and very, very sadly, he has a scatter go off of my Blockader that now kills Lanyssa. Now Lanyssa is a very important piece for me because it tags things with the magical ability, so I can charge things for free and get +2 inches of range. And even though he's in the spot now where the Blockader is already in range to go up there and be able to start punching it, you know, if I could get a free charge out of it, that's even better. It also allows Magnus to charge further sometimes, so kind of sad that he dies. Otherwise, you can see how the Menite Archon on the left is making it so it's ready to kind of come in and threaten things next turn. The other Menite Archon on the far right, and it's actually within threat zone of my Toro, so if I wanted to, my Toro #1 there could be going after the Menite Archon. However, I'm probably going to be needing it to finish off the Judicator. After James finished his turn, he was trying to say like, oh man, I bet your Blockader takes out both my Judicators. Unfortunately, that's not what this list does. I don't have a lot of things in the list that really stack my ability to hit harder. I mean, Blockaders are POW 22, so that's pretty good. But to go above that, I really need to get Gaspy or one of the servitors in there so I can get the whole Death Shroud thing going, and they're kind of too far away right now. As well, the other thing I could do is Calamity, but I mean, the odds of me getting that off are pretty much 0 since I'm not running an Arc node. So with that in mind, and looking at the board state here, what my plan is for the Blockader in Toro #1 to be going after the Judicator on the right. Then what I'm going to be doing is really using the forest to my advantage so I can make a safe spot for Magnus so I don't have to worry about being shot. And then I kind of wondered what to do with Gaspy at first, and if I flicker, I can be within charge range of the Menite Archon on the left. I likely won't kill it, but if I boost a hit, I can at least get one solid POW hit in, and then we'll have enough focus that I shouldn't die in return, and then I can finish it off next turn and start controlling that zone. So that's what I want to do this turn. Take out one Colossal, tie up the Arc node, and then start working on securing the left zone. So that's really what I do. I'm in a spot where my Blockader can just walk up and punch, and so it kind of goes into that triple thing of trees there and starts doing its job. And like I kind of guessed against the Judicator, doesn't quite finish it off, so the Toro #1 has to charge in and then finish it. Toros then #2 and 3 run up into being a spot where they're not engaged by the Judicator because I don't want to be being punched by those, but I am engaging the Blessing. That means that Blessing can take a free strike or a defensive strike rather against me, but that's okay. That's totally fine. And then for a while I was like, oh, where can Magnus charge to get really far in there? But it really just isn't worth it. You know, I'm in a spot right now where I'm going to be in an attrition advantage, and I just don't want to be in a spot where I can be taking more shots than necessary. So I basically move up so I'm 10.1 inches away from the Judicator, so it can't even be doing flaming attacks against me. And then on the left side, like I said, Gaspy flickers and then it charges and runs so that it's going into the Menite Archon. Meanwhile, I'm kind of trapping it there so that during its vengeance attack, I'm going to still have cover. I connect even though the Menite Archon has cover and do 5 boxes to it. So not really tons, but again, chipping it down so that next turn I could take it down very easily. I'm behind the building, so there's no way that the Judicator can be making any more attacks against me. And then more importantly, I move some of my servitors so that they're engaging the Judicator so that it can't get the aim bonus for whatever it's going to be going for, because it has some pretty bad rat. So basically at the end of this turn, I was feeling really, really good. I didn't feel that he had any assassination potential whatsoever, and that really what he's probably going to do is either be putting his sprays and stuff into the Toros because he can probably spray more than one targeting the objective, or he might just be going for the Blockader and trying to do some damage there. Like, my feat is only locking down the jacks, so the Archons and everything else can move around, but I was feeling good at the end of this turn, but then things got kind of scary. Now, the reason why things got scary is that Malekus came in, Malekus feeded, and then casted Scourge. Now, that's one of those things where, you know, when you look at a caster that you're not used to, look at important things like the feat, but there's some spells that are really important. You know, I kind of keyed in that when I looked at the feat, it was going to be all about fire damage, so the spell where your jacks get to shoot again, okay, that made a lot of sense, but I didn't pay attention to Scourge. And what Scourge meant is that he could come up here, target Toro number 2, knock down both of my jacks, and now he has an opening to Magnus. Now, I could have been behind the wall. I specifically didn't go behind the wall because then I would not be covered by my Toros. So now I'm in a little bit more danger. Of course, again, like I was saying, he can't aim. He has pretty low rat because he's inaccurate, but he nails both of those. So after popping feet, going in there with the Archon on the right, doing a little bit of damage, he cranks me with both of his rockets, and I was only camping one. And after everything was said and done, I was down to just 3 boxes. So thank goodness that Magnus is a beefy boy, you know, defense 14, armor 17, because of escort, that's going up to armor 19. And yeah, if it wasn't for escort, I'd be dead. If I wasn't camping that one, I'd be dead. Otherwise, you know, he doesn't even bother activating the Archon on the left. He kind of sees that Malekus is up there not camping, and he knew that if this gambit didn't work, it's basically over. So he threw up a couple more solos and kind of waited for the bad stuff to happen. And I kind of wondered if I'd need more things, but there wasn't. You know, I started punching Malekus, moving him forward with the Blockader, but obviously after 2 solid punches from a Blockader, Malekus goes down, and that's the game on the Assassination. So overall with the game, it was really great. I mean, the game on War Table did not take that long. I think, you know, with chatting and setup, it probably took about an hour and a half. So, you know, like, again, for those who are worried, like, oh man, War Table takes forever. No, it doesn't. Especially if you take lists that are designed to be aggressive and going in and, you know, getting the job done, not a bunch of infantry. You know, it does not take long at all. It was great to play against James, you know, somebody that I've been talking to on my channel and messaging for a long time. And again, one of the great things you can get from playing games like this on War Table, not Vassal, geez, yeah, not Vassal. The great thing is you start playing against things you're not used to seeing, right? I've been in several War Table leagues, and the biggest thing that keeps on coming up is, guess what? When you're not playing against people who are your locals, you start playing against things you don't normally see, and that's fantastic. You know, my brother owns Malekus because he bought the starter box, but hasn't even ever put them together because he seems like trash. But, you know, in builds like this, it's actually fairly interesting, and there's a lot of power there. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any comments on the lists or the game or anything like that, please post them down below. And otherwise, we'll catch you later. Bye.